this is Barbara Graver of mysticalliving.com, and I'd like to welcome you to today's episode of Mystical Pathways. In this episode, we're going to be learning about the mystical path of astral projection, and we have really the perfect person to do that with us, one of the world's leading experts on astral projection, author and teacher Robert Bruce. Robert, welcome to Mystical Pathways. Thank you for joining us.
G'day, Barbara. It's nice to be here again.
It's wonderful to have you. I wanted to ask you if we could start out, if you could please tell us a little bit about what astral projection actually is, and a little bit too about how you became interested in doing this.
Well, astral projection is where a human being leaves their physical body and they, you could say, project out a subtle energy copy of themselves during sleep. And this can also be done when you are meditating in an altered state, a deeply relaxed state. And it is a part of life. Everybody does it every time they sleep. Every animal in the world does this, even fish, mice, everything, dogs, cats, everything astral projects when they sleep, and everything dreams. And this is a natural part of life. Now, human beings, because we are biologically, mentally more evolved on this planet here, we have a much more complex structure to deal with, and our astral projection and dreaming can be much more meaningful and helpful. You can, through astral projection, explore, for example, not only the astral dimension, which is the non-physical aspects, which it's like, in a way, like a human being has an aura, you could say, which is a multi-layered, complex, non-physical structure around them, which is generated through the living processes. This extends into the astral dimension, where we have you have a multi-layered sort of a structure there, multi-dimensional structure, which is, in the case of the astral planes, laid out like the pages in a book. And right at the bottom here is the physical dimension, and we can, through astral projection, go up through those higher, you could say, spiritual levels. And through astral projection, you can explore the nature of reality and the nature of spiritual reality, interact with other spiritual beings, other astral projectors. And one of the, of course, you can even visit the afterlife and visit loved ones, friends, people in the afterlife. And yeah, and that's another topic. But apart from the super broadening your horizons by doing this consciously, a conscious astral projection where you induce it yourself is absolutely life-changing. And particularly in the sense that you very quickly begin to lose your fear of death, because the whole mystery of death is revealed. You can travel into the afterlife and visit, family that have passed on before you, and they are still there, still living their lives. And, life does not end.
Yeah, I would think that could be a great opportunity too for healing, particularly healing relationships and, things that aren't resolved.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, probably, I know 3/4 of the time I spend doing astral projection at the moment is spent doing healing for people, and physical healing, emotional healing, all kinds. But I have people come to me for help about those things, whatever it is for healing. It's a big part of what I do. And yeah, what was the other question you asked?
Well, I was interested in how you became interested in doing
Oh, right.
this.
Yeah, I started having astral projections when I was just turned 4 years old, I think.
Okay.
And one night I just My body started to buzz. I'm in bed and I buzzed quite pleasantly, whole body buzz, and I just floated out of my body. And that was it. And I remember the first times vividly. The first time I was like anxious because I didn't know what was happening, but it didn't seem bad. And I came out on my back and I floated. There was something moving me, my higher self, I know now.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved feet first, just like I was in bed, down the stairs and around the house, and explored the house a little bit, moved around. And I wasn't making the movement, I was being moved around.
Mm-hmm.
And then it happened the next night, and it happened like several times a night, sometimes every night. And I had thousands and thousands of astral projections. Now, being so I was so little, I didn't have any information on this whatsoever. It's just a natural exploration, which is valuable as a scientist to make fresh observations without any bias. And I, over the years of doing this, I learned how to induce it. I knew what it was. I used to tell my mum, and she'd say, "Oh, that's nice, dear. Have another biscuit," you know. And it was, mum knew a little bit about it, but at that time, but I was little. You can't really talk to a 4-year-old about things like that. You don't have
Right.
the language and you know and things enough to discuss it. And so I worked out how to move around, and I learned that if I imagined I was on roller skates and it was downhill in front of me, I could roll that way. And I learned how to move, and then I learned how to move faster. I left the house on the road, and I imagined I had a car, and I'd pretend to get into it, and I'd drive off and go a lot faster. And then I learned how to fly. It just seemed to me something I could do. And over a period of weeks there, I'd get out at night and I'd try running down the road as fast as I could and flapping my arms like a bird and tried the Superman thing going up, up and away, and all of that helped. And I eventually started making these huge bounds. I'd go up into the air to like treetop level and I'd move a bit and then I'd start falling and I'd fall down, probably 100 feet or so. And I remember when you hit the ground, it's very much like you see in the movie The Matrix, where Keanu Reeves tries to jump from one building to another and he gets halfway and he falls. It feels like you're falling, and when you hit the ground, you have a feeling of impact and pain, but it isn't pain and impact. It's like a memory of it to fill in the blanks for you, to provide the special effects you would expect, possibly taken from earlier times when you've fallen over and winded yourself and that's what you feel, but without any
Mm-hmm.
pain. It doesn't last long, and but over the years I've just explored naturally the real time dimension, the real time level of the astral, which is the lowest level of the astral. And low doesn't mean it's bad. It's just the area that the astral level which is closest to us. So when you're in the real time zone, it is like being a ghost or a spirit in the real world as the real world is happening. So yeah, and that's that part. And I was actually mostly locked into the real time zone for many, many years. It wasn't until I was probably in my 30s that I actually worked out how to deliberately shift into the astral planes. And otherwise, I would occasionally slip into the astral planes, but I didn't know how. But 99% of the time, I was locked into the real time zone. So I did a lot of exploring, and it was, yeah, fascinating thing to do. But when I was about 20 years old, I learned how to do it deliberately. And just like everybody I teach now, I had to start from scratch. I didn't know how to achieve a deeply relaxed state and remain awake. and that is like an altered state of consciousness, a trance state. And I learned this. I come across a book by Lobsang Rampa, who was an early mystic author. And one of his books, I think it was called possibly You Forever, gave techniques in there for astral projection and how to do clairvoyance and things like that. And they were fairly basic instructions, but the instructions worked. I found and so it was quite valuable. So I used that technique, which I now call the point shift technique, where you are sitting in your chair or laying down in bed and you imagine and feel that you are leaving your body. And as you leave your body, your spatial perspective of the room around you changes, and you have to be aware of your physical body remaining in the bed behind you. So you shift the location of your perspective where you feel yourself to be, and that puts pressure on you could say, on your body to produce the astral double through an astral projection. And because your astral body wants to follow you where you are. It's tricky because you've got to keep your body deeply relaxed and use only your body awareness and imagination to do this. But it's a bit of practice. Most people can do it, and it's a lot of fun. So that's how I came into this. And then years later, when an angel materialized to me and told me I had to learn how to write. And it's like, I've learned over the years, you don't argue with those guys. It's like really, really good idea to take their suggestions and act on them. And so I did, and that was another journey in itself. But and of course, when I was capable of writing and I started writing, it was only natural that I write about what you know and what you do. And so astral projection was the subject I first started writing on. And I still am exploring it and writing on it today.
And your books are really wonderful. I mean, I loved astrodynamics, and I also read your book on energy work and the psychic self-defense book also. I thought really, really good. And in astrodynamics, I know you go into a fair amount of detail about the astral double, which is that's something I've not heard from elsewhere, and I wondered if you could explain a little bit about what the astral or energetic double is and how that works with astral projection.
Well, your astral double, this is the part of you that is projected out during an astral projection. There's been a lot of controversy about that over the years, about what actually happens when that occurs. And up until my work appeared in the world, it was assumed, big assumption here, that when you leave your body during an astral projection, because the assumption was you can't be in two places at once, obviously, to them, it was assumed that you left your physical body empty, an empty shell or husk. And that, of course, raises thoughts automatically that, oh, what if another spirit tried to get into my body or steal it or possess me because it's empty? And also, it was believed that if you did a conscious astral projection, if another human being touched you, came into the room and touched you, or your partner touched you, you would die, physically die, would kill you. And there was all these elaborate rituals and things and ways to protect your physical body while you're out. And this whole field appeared around that. And some authors even, or mystics even recommended that when you astral project, you must bind your body in iron chains and you have to spend inordinate amounts of time creating these thought forms, watcher beings to guard you while you're out of body and that. And this is how a simple assumption can really throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like huge. Now, what I did, my forte in studying astral projection when I started to consciously astral project was in that I am a natural observer. I observe things in incredible detail over and over again. And so I applied my observation skills to the astral projection exit out of body. And so I observed that very, very carefully in myself, hundreds, thousands of times, what it feels like, what was happening to my physical body and its chakra system and energies as I was exiting the body, and what was happening when I came back into my body. What did that feel like? And I had an experience once and many, many since that, which was powerful enough to help me to understand something nobody had ever guessed that could be happening. And one night I was sitting in my chair meditating in a deep altered state, and I was doing a lot of energy work, activating my chakras and raising energy. And I felt an astral projection starting up, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm cool with that. The vibration started up, so I added a bit of intention, shifted out of body, and I thought, um, I went up on the roof and in the rain and was doing a little bit of exploring up there. And it was a very smooth, easy astral projection. And then I, you have to understand, at the same time, I'm still fully conscious in my physical body in my chair. I'm conscious, I'm recording in my memory, experience memories from that perspective simultaneously as my astral body came out. Now, the memory from my physical body side is that I felt the symptoms of astral projection coming on, that my astral body was coming loose, a bit of a buzzing and my arms started coming loose. And it I felt the falling sensation and rapid heartbeat you commonly get with a conscious astral projection. And I felt myself start to move, and then it all stopped. Nothing. And I'm still meditating. And then I thought, oh, wonder why that stopped. What went wrong there? I didn't know. So I just continued with my meditation and energy work. And the astral body, me on the roof here, completely separate, living and experiencing memories independently, was one of the things that was on my to-do list for astral projection then was to study proximity effects between my astral body and my physical body. I was going to explore the physical body. You'd read a lot about it, but I have to do it for myself to know it's real. And so I came back down through the ceiling, and once I got into the room within about 15 feet or so of my physical body, I connected with my physical body. And at the same time, our memories merged. I had the memories out of my physical body. My physical body had the memories of the astral body and what it had been doing for the last 5 minutes, as well as the memories of being in the chair. So I had two completely different sets of memories. And to cut a long story short, when I re-entered my physical body, the result of this very powerful experience was that I had two completely separate memory streams parallel to each other. They were simultaneously recorded from two different aspects of me. Now, by studying that effect over the next year and getting a lot of headaches trying to work out what was happening, it finally came to me in a flash of inspiration that there can be more than one. And I realized then something that I call the mind split effect, where when you have an astral projection, it's like working theory here, that when you have an astral projection, you project an energy copy of yourself out of your physical body, like the RAM in a computer. The original you, your original mind, memory, spirit, never leaves your physical body while you live, with a possible temporary exception to a near-death experience. But you never leave your physical body, so it is never ever left empty. You project a copy. It's more like a drone with a camera in it You project that
Oh,
out of your
okay.
body, and that can go exploring the world or the astral dimension, and then come back and of course, hopefully remember it. And by studying this aspect along with astral projection, of course, I realized that the real problem why it is so appears to be so difficult to learn how to astral project deliberately, consciously, is the memory download from the projected astral double is not guaranteed. In fact, it is unnatural. Your body and mind naturally store your physical existence as memories. They're naturally recorded. You will record some dreams which tend to slip into your mind and you remember them. But just to highlight the issue with subtle memories, and this involves dream memories as well as astral projection memories, and memories that occur when you're in altered states, when you're meditating as well. Why it is that you can spend an hour or more meditating, and afterwards you may only remember a couple of minutes of
Mm-hmm.
it. And there was a issue here of the memory, and I can highlight this by the common experience. How often have you woken up in the morning and you wake up with the memory of this incredible dream? It's an epic blockbuster movie. It's, wow, that was an incredible dream. I'll never forget that.
Yes.
Forget what? And it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. And you say, oh no, it's gone. But you remember that you had that dream memory there.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know that it's gone. And you try and pull it back, and sometimes you can pull it back and it comes back. Oh, it's back. Oh, what a wonderful thing. I'll write that down. I'll never forget that. I could write a book on that. And it's gone again. And
Yeah.
you remember in your physical body mind that you had this dream memory that you had when you woke up, and then it disappeared, and then you pull it back, and then it's gone again. You remember that,
Yes.
but you don't have the memory. It's almost like this little cloud around your head of this dream, and it's just shifted away, and then it's come back. There's something very, very odd happening here. And if you think about it absolutely logically, this was the area I studied more and more. The problem is the memory, and that's probably 99% of it. The actual learning of the techniques to induce an astral projection, how to deeply relax and how to maybe do a bit of energy work, maybe stimulate your chakras and get into deeply physically relaxed state is all you need, and anybody can learn that. A couple of days of practice, a few sessions, and it's sufficient enough to produce an astral projection to project your astral body out.
Mm-hmm.
But remembering it is difficult. So I discovered this, that the strength of the projected astral double is very, very important, the strength of mind. Now also the strength of the energy. This is why I teach people to do some basic energy work, which helps them to induce an astral projection. Also creates a stronger projected astral double, which can be, which results in remembering more astral projections and dreams and things like that occur. And let's keep in mind here, you can be physically awake in your physical body. Your astral body can be awake out of body in the astral, recording experience memories independently. Your dream mind will also activate at a certain point. So there are 1, 2, 3 copies of you acting independently, recording experience memories independently. And you have to wonder how your brain and your memory storage device will cope with 1, 2, 3 completely separate streams of memories recorded simultaneously. And the bottom line is it doesn't. It doesn't cope. It normally remembers anything from the physical, some dreams. It will occasionally remember a bit of an astral projection. Often it will jumble the memories all up in a hodgepodge fashion, and you'll have this really weird mixed memory. You remember being in your body, floating through your bedroom, Then you're up in the clouds, flying over the rooftops in your town. You're also having a dream about somewhere on a beach somewhere, and this is all mixed up, so you get little segments thrown together. It's like you've got a video editor open, and you've got hundreds of files there. You know, let's just say you've got three really big files there of other videos, and you've taken little sound bites, little snips, little 10, 20, 30-second pieces, and you've just thrown them into the master file at completely random. And when you play it back, you get this completely nonsensical appearing experience that doesn't make any sense, because you're taking it from three different cameras doing three different things, and it doesn't make any sense. But I learned then that the what I call passionate re-entry. I learned that one is when you have an astral projection while you're learning, you keep it very, very short. You've got training wheels on here.
Right.
You're trying to train the memory download pathways, which will recall your astral projection memories. And your trainer wheels are, so you have a 10-second astral projection. You just got to guess that, very short time. Have a quick look around. Look at your hands while you're out of body, and they will melt like snow hands under a powerful blowtorch. Couple of seconds and you got your wrists are stumps like candle wax, and doesn't hurt you. If you look away, they'll grow back. And so that's very interesting. It's something very memorable, because you see, wow, you see this phenomena. Or just look around the room and then dive back into your physical body, passionately, savagely shouting your success and a key word or two. So I would dive back in screaming, you know, tensing yourself up. You know how you would feel if you were foolish enough to go bungee jumping and you're about to jump off this cliff with this rubber band on you? Imagine what you would do if you were going to absolutely determined to do that. Just before you jumped up, you'd psych yourself up and go,
Right.
jump off. Humans do that. We psych ourselves up to get
Yep.
strength.
Absolutely.
So you need to do exactly the same thing when you dive back into your physical body. And when you do that, your physical body will wake up, bang, and the memory's there. But even though you've done that, you can't trust it, because it can just float away like a dream memory. So the trick is to verbalize it. The instant you're back in your physical body, you may have been asleep. Your physical body has definitely been asleep. You speak about it. My hands melted while you reach for that large pad you've got on your bed.
Right.
And you write down those couple of key words, hands melted. Once you've got them down, you've got the memory locked in. You have an association with that memory in your memory storage facility in your subconscious mind, maybe. And then you can put down a few more details to help it out. But you wouldn't believe how many times I wake up in the morning, probably once a week, and I wake up in the morning, I go to make coffee, and there's a note left by the coffee machine. And I pick it up and it's got really bad writing on it. And I sit there and try and decipher it, because I've been groggily asleep when I tried to write these notes. And what's happened, I've had an astral projection or a vivid dream, and I've come out because I know what's going to happen. I know I'm going to forget it. And I write down a few key words and that on a little pad, and I put it by the coffee machine where I'm going to find it in the morning. I'll go back to bed, and the next morning I'll wake up oblivious to what had happened, and I'll see this note. But once I can make out one or two key words that I've written down there, I make out finally, hands melted, bang! Memory comes straight back.
Yep.
Because that has an association. It's like the file name on a computer. You finally get the right password, and boom, your program loads up, and there's your memory. And this is how it works. I hope that was clear, because this is the secret of astral projection, is the memory download. You have to really baby yourself. 10 seconds out of body is good. Even if you have a partial astral projection where your hands, your arms and legs float out of your body, which is quite common, without actually separating, you may lose the memory of that. So as soon as you're back and it's stopped, verbalize it. My legs floated out. And you should have a large pad beside you and pen, because a small pad you're going to make really messy writing because you're going to be really groggy. So verbalize it, a couple of key words, and put it back on the bed. And you might zonk out, fall asleep straight away, and wake up in the morning just like me with no memory of that happening. And then you look on the pad and there's words on it. And either somebody's broke into your house and did this, and you make it out, and hands melted. And boom, the memory will come back. Or legs floated out. Oh, right, that's right. I remember now. My legs floated out last night. It was really, really cool. This is your astral body's legs floating up on you, and your arms. I mean, often a person will float out of body and they stay connected at the wrist, but your whole body's out. That's a full astral projection, but you're still connected at the wrist or maybe the head, and for various reasons that can happen. It's nothing major, but as you can see, everything comes down to the memory of it all, and that's why I put so much emphasis on this. And even though I do this and I really hammer it in, just like I've been doing here, probably 99% of people, when they have their first astral projection, won't listen.
Why
They
is
won't.
that? Because they want to explore? Because they.
Yes. They don't want to waste the experience. Oh, I really want to go to Paris. I want to meet my guides, if you have them, whatever. And I want to see all this stuff they want to do, and they can't help themselves. They do. But commonly, when I'm sent astral projection experiences by other people and in live groups and in live groups, I really hammer this in. So probably 90% of people will follow, directions there. And they come back, and I get letters, and when they're out of body for a short time, and they remember, oh, Robert Bruce says, get back in quickly, passionately shouting your success. And they do that. Now, sometimes they will see their body in the bed or their chair right where they left it. Sometimes there's an empty chair or an empty bed there. You don't see it. That's just a weird phenomenon. But you just have to trust that it's there. Now, if you project out and you find yourself in the astral plane somewhere completely different from your home, there's no body around, you just have to intend to go back to your body. And all you have to do is to imagine your bedroom where you left your body. So you've got to psych yourself up and then imagine yourself back in that room. Boom, you'll be there with the memory. You can adapt this technique, doesn't matter what you're doing out of body, and it will work. And if you listen to this, it really makes a difference. But even people, I had a group in the States one day. I think it was in North Carolina. I did a workshop there, and I got 40 people in the room, and we're doing live astral projection exit attempts because I've been training them for astral projection and all that goes with it. So like on the third day, I've got everybody on the floor sitting in their chairs, hopefully, because that's sitting up. It's actually a lot easier to astral project in a sitting position. Or if you must use a bed, use about a dozen pillows. So you're propped up like you're about to eat dinner in bed.
Oh,
The
okay.
head support. It's far more successful. I find it difficult to project from laying on my back or in bed. It adds a level of difficulty to it. It's much easier if you're traditionally carved on pyramids and things around the world. You see people shaman astral projecting because the signs are there, and they are at a 37-degree angle, as if you would be if you're eating dinner in bed, maybe slightly higher than that. And and it's in that position you'll find if you're there for some time relaxing, you will find that your bum will tend to slide on the sheets down because of gravity. If that happens, get a sheepskin or something similar that you can sit on, which will hold you and it won't let you slide. But anyway, I'm at this workshop, and during one of the, in fact, it happened about 3 times in a row, we did 3 astral projection exits in separate sessions there. And there's one guy there, big guy, he'd been to several of my workshops before, and I'm sitting at the back, and I've got this like hemi-sync playing in there, helping people along, and I've given the voice instructions up to the point, and people know what to do. So I sit back, and I'm awake and it's a fairly dimly lit room, and I'm observing the group clairvoyantly, which is a treat. And because when I'm in an altered, a relaxed, deeply relaxed state, I get like astral sight where I can see the astral. Now, about 3 or 4 minutes of doing this, which is interesting, I saw this big guy come straight out of his body, and a dozen other people are out of their bodies already. And he wanders back in my general direction. Jim, his name was Jim. I said, "Hey, Jim." He said, "Hey, Robert." I said, "You are out of body. You know you're out of body." "Yeah, yeah, I know I'm out of body." I said, "Jim, we talked about this a lot. You've got to dive back into your body, passionately shouting your success." I'm giving him coaching to his actual body.
Right.
And he says, "Yeah, yeah, I'll do that in a minute. I just want to go talk to so-and-so." And then he's doing this and doing that. And it's like 3 times, failed every time. Even though he's succeeding, he's failing to get the memory download because he's
Right.
staying out of body too long. And yeah, and I've got people dancing and kissing and flying around the room and various things, um, often with complete strangers. And it's kind of funny. It's a whole different reality it's amazing to observe it though. It's really exciting to watch all the antics and that. It's lovely, it really is. And,
I can imagine. And I've been taking your course through Glidewing, your online course, and I had within I think about 4 weeks, I had what you told me was a partial astral projection where I felt the vibrations and I felt my hands vibrating. I had them clasped across my chest or stomach. And then I felt my vibrating hands raising, and I knew my real hands weren't moving.
yeah,
And that was even though it was short, it was just so validating because there's nothing like having the experience yourself, as far as, believing it really deeply on every level that it's a possibility. So I found
yeah.
that
Well,
really cool.
that's crucial because we are all locked into a shared consensus reality, and we have these incredibly powerful beliefs that which do not believe in astral projection of things like that, a general consensus of disbelief. I mean, we can accept an occasional dream as that's something the mind just does,
Hmm.
like turning on the TV. But astral projection, we have to like convince ourselves that it is possible to get around, even though you may have chosen to believe that astral projection is possible, it's still hard to get around that to all aspects of your mind to actually allow an astral projection to occur. And you've got to consider your higher self, which is, for all intents and purposes, source or God. It's connected to that. You also have to believe because it is very protective of you. And if you don't believe in it enough, your higher self doesn't have permission to allow that to happen. And this applies to all psychic abilities as well. You'll find your higher self, which is enmeshed within every cell of your body, that is what is actually blocking these psychic abilities. It's a part of natural shielding and protection, which every human being has. And so you need some kind of experiential belief, or you need to work on that to allow your higher self to relax the controls enough so that you can actually have an astral projection or a clairvoyant vision or something like that. And that also points towards a very important way of developing these things, because the most powerful tool you have to spiritually develop, psychically develop there is affirmations.
Mm.
Doing affirmations, particularly spoken aloud. When
Right.
you speak aloud, you vibrate the voice box in your throat and you project your words, your spoken words, onto the astral level. Now, your higher self is much more approachable and receptive and active on the astral level. And this is why all systems of magic are taught to deepen the voice down, to vibrate the voice box. This is why you hear monks all over the world chanting and toning and deepening their voices down Om Mani Padme Om. If you do that, you can put your finger in the little V at the base of your throat. You can feel the vibration coming from your voice box, and yeah, and that's what makes it work, of course.
To say
The
the affirmations aloud.
Yeah, and doing them, I mean, make good use of driving time, turn the radio off and say your affirmations, like I project out of my body. I love to project out of my body. I astral project all the time. I love to astral project. Something simple, very present tense, positive, as if it's already happened. And you would try and say these not like a parrot. You try and say them like you're rehearsing for an important presentation. You would say it, I project out of my body. I love to astral project. You put emphasis and meaning into the words, and that helps a lot. And yeah, and say it is the most powerful tool we have, affirmations, but probably 99.9% of people just don't use it because they don't get it. So if they don't get it, they're not likely to use it. So they continue to allow the physical reality to distract us with its music and its movies and its people and its fast pace. We get caught up in this life just like you get caught up in a dream. You get kind of, it's like delusional reality. In a dream, you just deal with what's in front of you. A lot of stuff from your subconscious mind and your higher self are coming up, past life traumas, happy things, all of this coming up, all the stuff you need to understand and to process. And if you understand what it's like to remember a dream, and particularly maybe to wake up in a dream and become lucid in a dream, you know what it's like to be dead, to be deceased, to be a spirit, because that is exactly what the afterlife is like, to be in a dream.
I see. And it's interesting to think of that because particularly with affirmations, because we're getting all this constant programming from the world around us, and it's almost like the affirmations are your opportunity to sort of counteract some of that.
Yes, yeah. Definitely. And one of the tricks to affirmations is this is going into manifestation here. You're trying to manifest change
Yes.
using affirmations and intention to bring about a change, whether it is you're trying to manifest money, a new car, a new job, a new life partner, whatever you're working towards manifesting here. An important tip here is don't tell anybody what you're doing, because anybody you tell, 99% of them, even people who are normally very supportive, and we say, oh, that's great, good luck with that. In their mind, they are saying, what the heck is he thinking? This is not real. He's getting deluded, whatever. But basically, just about everybody you tell will not believe you. And their disbelief will counteract your belief. Imagine you have a power of 10 through your affirmations and manifestation attempts. You're developing a power ratio of 10. And you tell one other person, and they have a disbelief ratio on what you're doing of like 50. And that's because they've got the whole world backing them up, sharing
Right.
that belief. So you tell a few people, and then you wonder why your manifestation won't work.
Yes.
And it's difficult because everybody loves to share with their nearest and dearest and that. And it's difficult. You've got to be very, very selective. And you need to really know for sure. Like you can only tell your partner if on past experience they're really, really supportive. They might want to learn how to do that themselves. You'd have to work that out yourself, but don't tell anybody else
Yes.
because you are disempowering yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And I
And
had that
also,
experience.
if it doesn't work and you don't get the new car, all these people around you won't be able to say, "Told you so, you're an idiot."
Right. 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 That's
Yeah.
very true. So, one thing I like about your approach is the emphasis on the energy work, and you said earlier that part of the rationale for this is that this is strengthening your energetic body, And is the strengthening the energetic body, does that directly help you in downloading the memories? Is that why that's so important?
It does. It improves memory recall by improving the strength of your subtle body, your astral body, your energy body, the subtle parts of you. It's like learning astral projection to do it consciously is a huge milestone in becoming spiritually conscious. I mean, all human beings are conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs and cats are also conscious. Hamsters are conscious. But there's levels of consciousness. The average level of consciousness in the world is barely above the animal level. We are animals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of us are animals. And now, as a process, by using energy work and working on chakras and attempting astral projections and clairvoyance and things like that, you find your energy body starts to evolve, your chakras start to evolve to a higher level, and your astral body evolves and becomes more solid in, you could say, in its astral state. And as a part of that process there, it's like when you have a first astral projection, it's often very, very weak. You feel like a balloon bouncing on the floor. You don't have the energy. You feel very drained. There's no strength in that astral double. And this happens for probably most people that deliberately induce an astral projection. The first astral projections are often very, very weak. And but if they persevere over a year or two, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And as that gets stronger, your energy body is getting stronger in your physical body. Your chakras are becoming more active. You are evolving to to a level beyond normal mortal human beings. You're evolving, you could say, bringing into existence your spiritual aspects, your soul, your whatever you want to call it. But you are evolving beyond the physical, and which is where people that go into this sort of work is where they want to go.
Yes.
And if you can get all the beliefs out of the way, you would get there fairly quickly. But you have to kind of take a fresh look at everything, and work with people that are working through direct personal experience, because all the books and teachers out there, a great many of them, the majority of them, are running on assumptions and old knowledge, which was based on even worse assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the what happens when you have an astral projection. You project out of body, and when you do, you can still remain awake and conscious in your physical body mind, maybe laying in bed or in a chair, deeply relaxed. Your astral projected double that comes out is also conscious. There's two of you. The mind splits
Mm-hmm.
when you have an astral projection. Your dream mind can also be active. That's one, two, three copies of you acting simultaneously, each of them recording experience memories differently. I mean, and they all fit back in together like those Russian dolls at the end of it here. So understanding how this works and looking at it and experimenting through personal experience, of course, you start to get somewhere. You start to work it out. It's not rocket science,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to push away all the assumptions. And I have a document out there called the catch basket concept, which is basically explaining how I was instructed. A master materialized to me one night many years ago and told me how to do all this. And at the time, many years ago, this was like 18 years ago, I was banging my head against the wall trying to make progress. And the master materialized and said, the reason you can't make any progress is you are blinding yourself with your own beliefs. You need to
Ah.
let go of them and follow the path of personal
Mm-hmm.
experience. And this he called the way of the master. He said, every master, every genuine master in the world has ever known, has done it this way. They have walked through personal experience and learned it themselves, working it out themselves as they go. You can take tips and advice from other people that are wise and books. There are many fine authors out there. Um, as I was saying earlier, Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements,
Mm-hmm.
The Voice of Knowledge, The Mastery of Love. Those books are excellent, full of wisdom based on, thousands of years of personal experience, which you can take for guidance. But even that, everything like that, you have to take it and you've got to try it out. You
Yes.
can take my book, use my techniques, and succeed in, but it won't be real to you until they work, until you have an astral projection. And then you'll know I was right about that. And then you have an experience with the mind split where you've got two sets of memories for the same period of time. And you realise, wow, he's right about that too. And I'm sure I may have made some errors here and there in my path and in my work, but they would be minor because I'm constantly rechecking and researching my own work, which is what I've done basically. I've applied scientific method to spiritual research.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I've done. And scientific method is the best, most logical, most workable approach we have. Scientific method, the empirical knowledge, what has gone on before. If you look at scientists, they're continually picking through empirical knowledge, all the papers and studies and work done before, and they're continually looking for flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because it gets their name in the paper, because you've refuted something, but also because you're cleansing the body of knowledge that we have developed by rooting out, the errors.
Yes.
Which is a very, very natural thing. And that way you get a very, very solid body of experiential evidence there, which is the basis of the entire field of science. Our entire civilization rests on this. So if you allow errors and assumptions and things to come into that, you've got big problems. Your spaceships and that won't work. Things will stop working. I mean, we won't be able to invent things in the future because we got the principles wrong
Right.
or something. It's exactly the same in the spiritual metaphysical field. You have to go through personal experience. You cannot believe all this stuff that people tell you, you've got to do this and this and that. Or there's a lot of very flaky advice out there in the whole spiritual New Age movement, which is, it's a minefield. I mean, what happens? You get an author from 150 years ago, 200 years ago, which has happened, that makes an error and assumptions in a book they write. They write a book on whatever it is, say astral projection back then, and they make errors. For example, they put in there the basic assumption that everybody agrees with, that when you leave your physical body in an astral projection, your physical body mind is left empty, an empty shell or husk. That was a major assumption, and it's obvious to them because you can't be in two places at once, so this must be the case. That's a huge assumption, which was incorrect. It's a complete error. Now, from that, you had loads of books and different methods and that about ways to protect the physical body while you're having an astral projection. It was firmly believed, still is today by many people, that if another human being, if you are touched by another human being, so I got a frog in my throat.
You go right ahead.
If you're touched by another human being, you will instantly die because it will interfere with a delicate balance of energies. And and you can see now that book written 150 years ago is used as source material for every other book on astral projection
Right.
since, including books released this year. They are using that as a source. And as all the books that came from that has used that for source, you get this propagation of error going through. Scientists understand this. When they're doing research there, they're constantly checking into rooting out these little weeds of errors and false studies and things like that, and junk science they call it, so they can get down to the nitty-gritty and stuff that worked. And they seem to be losing the battle in science at the moment with the vast amount of corporate junk science that's appearing everywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a similar thing with the spiritual world as well. Everything from energy work, the chakras, astral projection, everything, the afterlife, all of it. There was this huge mishmash of information out there based upon what was believed 200 years ago. It's very little new stuff. It's all rehashed, and people are still being taught to do the same things that don't work. Now, my work, when I teach it, absolutely works. The energy work I teach, body awareness, tactile imaging, is the most effective energy work system in the world, bar none. There's nothing that comes even close to it. Because I can teach a person in 5 minutes flat how to move energy, how to connect their kinesthetic senses and to physically move the feel, their tactile senses through their physical body. And that is the only thing that moves energy.